Yo, 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 this is ToneyBoi. This week on Outside Influence, I got the great graffiti artist himself, Vinny Alejandro. What's up, Vinny? How are you,
What's
man?
What's going on, man? Pretty
Thanks
good.
for coming, man. So, I've known you throughout the Buffalo scene just as being a crazy big wall piece, graffiti legend. And what I wanted to do with this season is actually touch on, how there's different pieces and elements in hip hop, that associate themselves with graffiti. So, how would you associate your graffiti with hip hop?
I started doing graffiti because of hip hop. I was a b-boy when I was a kid. I was into, breakdancing and DJing and stuff like that. I loved everything about hip hop. I actually, I was born in '74, so I was born the year Kool Herc threw his first party. So I've always came up with it. My parents were into disco, so that transition when that, when that came, I heard, Sugar Hill Gang and stuff like that, and I just jumped on it. And then, here was a little difficult because in Buffalo, it was hard to get in the early days. College radio was the only way you could hear it, and so I would, have my little boom box, and I would tune into college radio and record all the new stuff out and everything.
Back then,
yeah, and I'd record all the songs, the new stuff that was coming out, and back then it was like Houdini and things like that, and so I in grammar school I went to school 45, and I met a kid named D'Artagnan, and if you're out there, D'Artagnan, what's up?
Love D'Artagnan.
He introduced me to like bubble letters and things like that, and it was always kind of a, hey, if you do this for girls, they like that stuff, you know what I mean? So it was kind of like, all right, I'll do it, So I got into it, and I lived by the trains. I grew up in the Old First Ward, so I lived by the trains, so I'd see a lot of the tags and hobo monikers and stuff like that. So I'd been exposed to it, and I just, it just kind of fell into place as far as an element in the hip hop culture. So I started from there and moved to Europe with the Army and got into it big time over there. And then when I came back to the States, I kind of, it was still in that phase where it was negatively looked at, in the States. So it took me a while to get back into it again. And then, when it started becoming almost popular again, it was, I loved it. So it was cool to get back into it and start doing it.
Word. So when you started writing with the hip hop, were you still breakdancing, or like were you just strictly writing?
No, I was into breakdancing all the way up until high school, beginning of high school, and then you slowly transitioned into the hip hop dancing, and more of the kid and play, whatever,
the box tops,
and the routines and things like that. In high school, me and a friend, John Kroom, rest in peace, John Kroom. Me and him used to dance for rap groups back then. This was probably around 91, and we were dancing for rap groups like Canisius and DJ Spinners and some of the other clubs, La Boom.
Okay, I wouldn't know about
and these were all clubs back in the day that local hip hop groups would play at, and we danced for them on stage. Like, they always have two dancers on stage.
Right.
And so but I was still into the graffiti scene too. And then, later on I got into house music and that dance scene for a while, and then life happened, so I kind of got out of that, but always stuck with the graffiti scene, and then, DJing too, playing with turntables, mainly scratching and stuff like that. I love turntablism, so.
Word. So, who would be some of your graffiti like idols or people you looked up to?
Mainly, people who started it, and I have a lot of friends that I've met in my trips to New York City that were like pioneers, like people who wrote in the 70s.
Right.
Tony Checker, Sharman, people like that. But as far as like, people who were more lettering, when the styles got bigger and the letters got bolder and stuff like that, people like Scene, Cope, who I got to paint with summer before last in the Bronx. Scheme, people like that, people that were, and in the New York City subway scene were really big because they were expanding the letters and pushing the limits of the can. So that's, being an artist besides graffiti, that's what I really like to follow was how do they do that? How do they, how do they get the colors and the blends and things like that? So it was, those were the people that influenced me.
Yeah. Now, with graffiti, is it something like that you can reach out to these guys and they teach you these styles, or is it something that you just have to like visualize and see yourself?
No, I think graffiti is especially in the early days, it was you had to work your way up.
Right.
You had to prove yourself, and mainly with skills and getting up, which, being here, it wasn't really as much of a big scene here. So, when I was a teenager, I went to New York City when I was a teenager and got to experience that and stuff. So, but it was, just more of the culture itself, where it wrapped into hip hop and things like that. Like it was just, I tried to be a part of everything. I even tried to rap, and I was like, man, out of the three, I just couldn't get.
What was the rap name?
Well, my first graffiti name was Vinless, Vinless.
Oh, word.
And it was because I'm half Puerto Rican, half Irish.
Right.
And Vinny's Italian. My name's Italian, so I was Vinless. I'm not Italian, so. But I kind of use that as my graffiti name and when I was a dancer and stuff like that, and DJ, and I actually took on 2 derogatory terms because of my nationality, and I call myself Mick Spick. So which is currently my email too.
I believe that's your Instagram as well, right?
Yeah. So that was my kind of poke at racism and because from a mixed perspective, it's a little bit different, especially when you look white.
Right.
So that was when I was DJing that I took that on, but Crime was my graffiti name that I took on right around late 80s, early 90s. I watched Beat Street, and Ramo in the movie did a piece that said, "If my art is a crime, may God forgive me." And I saw that, and crime just jumped out at me. Cool. So I started writing that when I went overseas to the military and everything. So, and it kind of stuck. That's been my graffiti name since then.
Nice. So crime would be the name that most of the graffiti artists know you as?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So what was it like throwing up your first big piece?
Man, scary. Like the first, graffiti piece that I did illegally. Yeah. So I used to live in the ward, and there was a playground there that no longer exists, but they had the handball courts. Yeah. And, the front side of the handball court, everybody could see it. The back side, nobody could see. So a lot of stuff went down back there. And that's where I kind of would practice, was the back of there. And then eventually I did a piece on the front, and which I have a photo of. One of my relatives that lived on that street took a picture when they were tearing the playground down.
Oh, nice.
And I just did a VIN, on the wall. It's before I realized you shouldn't write your name. And but yeah, it was scary, because I didn't know, I didn't know. First of all, I didn't know I should be doing it at night. I was a kid. I wasn't allowed out at night, so I did it during the day on a weekend. But nobody said anything, and because the wall was painted on anyway. So, but it was scary. But at the same time, man, it was just being able to create something that was mine, my own name, take my name and change it and do whatever I wanted to it. That's always been kind of the essence of the art is originality and making it your own.
Right.
You know, you don't need to copy styles. You come up with your own.
Just like rap.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, as time progressed and graffiti becomes more of a gallery art or, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, more prestigious.
Pop.
More pop. How did you transition into that? Because I saw you do, more murals and, bigger pieces.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of tradition in graffiti. Like a lot of people are, kind of still on the wavelength as you should be out there, doing it. But, once I got older and, I got kids and things like that, like I didn't want to go out there and just be all out there in the street with a, maybe I might get caught,
right.
Make an example of me or something like that, like they did other people. So, it was when people said, oh, hey, you can do this, do a wall for somebody, they'll pay you.
Yeah.
And, you're from a hood, you're like, I'm going to get paid to spray? Okay, yeah.
No problem.
So, it was kind of an easy transition for me. And then, some of those early artists in New York City, people took them from the trains and started putting them in galleries in the early days, so that broke off that early.
Yeah.
So, there's some out there that still look down on people for doing legal stuff and everything like that. And I don't, get into it, the arguments or anything like that. I'm older,
right.
You know what I mean? And I do what I do because I love what I do. So, and my thing is now is just kind of pushing limits with cans, trying to see how far I can take it.
Yeah.
And also when I get these big murals, especially like city murals and stuff like that, being able to say that I did the whole thing with spray, you know what I mean? And that's kind of a thing that I hold high is, I'm still using cans. I'm still, I'm not mixing media or whatever. Yeah. I'm dedicated to the cans.
Yeah,
so.
And some of your pieces are really detailed, for them to be with, spray paint.
That's kind of the thing is I like doing is pushing. See, the letters and all that are cool, but I want to try to see how far I can take it.
For sure. So, what advice would you have for like any young writers out there?
Just be true to yourself. Don't worry about being true to the art. You know what I mean? That you can do that if you want to. You can, I'm not going to look down on people that are still out there tagging and stuff like that because that's my beginnings. You know what I mean? It's just not me. At this time in my life, that's just not me. But the main thing is just be true to the art, learn the history. And with anything else in hip hop, learn the history. Don't just get out there and just, jump on the bandwagon and then, you don't know anything about what you're doing or how it started or, learn the history, look up them old writers, look up the ones that did it.
Right.
Because you'd be shocked. Some of them, they still throw parties and do graffiti jams and, and stuff like that. They're in their 60s and 70s, man, still out there writing, and it's like, it's just stay true to yourself. If you want to be into it, you have to learn where it came from, and that's with anything in hip hop.
Right. So where do you see graph writing and graffiti going in the next 10 years from now?
Man, just the last 10. It's everywhere. It's
because it's going more digital.
It's digital, yeah. I mean, there's people doing crazy digital stuff. I mean, even at first I wasn't really a fan. And
do you consider that graffiti if it's digital? Or
it's strange because most of the people I know that are doing digital are former street writers. So it's like, oh man, it's cool. I'm learning how to do it. It's cool to see, and it expanded a lot of these guys' abilities. A lot of them were like, pieces that would take them hours, they could do on a computer,
right.
And it becomes a digital sketchbook. A lot of people do pieces on computer and then go out, to a graffiti park or whatever, and they do pieces at the graffiti park.
That's cool.
So it becomes like a little bit of a sketchbook when we all used to have sketchbooks back in the day, all of us writers. So, you know, it's and if you don't like it, delete. You know, and and you don't have to buy a million sketchbooks like some of my. You know, I got friends that have stacks and stacks and stacks of sketchbooks.
My rhyme books. I got probably not anymore, but I've had recycling bins full of rhyme books.
And it's you know you know, just a new outlet. It's you know, but people reacted to it the same way they reacted to what we call pro paint when people started making graph paint.
Oh, okay.
That was graffiti paint, you know, made for graffiti artists, and people started saying,
like what's in your basement, all that wall of
and people started saying, you know, oh man, you know, I'm into Rusto and Krylon and everything like that. You know, I'll stick with that. But it's like, you know, progression is progression. You know what I mean? I mean, look at DJs now with Serato and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's you know, you can be traditional if you want to, but
you got to move with the times.
Stuff's got to move. I mean, things got to move with the times. It's, you know, same mentality when it comes to writers taking legal jobs. Yeah. You know, it's you know, it's a battle. I mean, there's murals in New York City that get smashed by other kids. Like,
when you say smash, what do you mean?
Like they'll put up a mural, you know, $50,000 mural, and that night kids come around and just throw up pieces and tags on it and everything.
Yeah, I think that happened with Prodigies.
Yeah, that's an ongoing thing. It's because some of them, you know, don't believe in it. They don't believe in the street art stuff, and you know, but that's the history of it. You know, to me, I do my piece. I take a picture of it. That's it for me. I mean, I know the world. I know the world, so I know it could get smashed. You know, I'm just hoping that I keep enough, you know, give enough respect to those kids that they won't smash it. Right. You know, and that's kind of how I treat graffiti artists in Buffalo is, you know, I don't want them smashing my stuff or whatever, you know. They want some paint, they can come get some paint from me, you know, or even techniques. Yeah. You know, so it's, you know, but that's a balance. You know, it's still...
Can't give too much.
Still street, you know what I mean? And same thing with rapping and B-boys and stuff like that, you know. I mean, you know, somebody come along freestyle against somebody that's up here.
It's going to be a battle.
and you know, bring you back down again, you know. So, yeah, it's just, you know, we're in a unique culture. Yeah.
So we're going to close it out here. Is there anything like big you're working on that you want to tell the people about?
What's funny is because of COVID, no. I'm just finally starting to get my, you know, 90% of my clients were restaurants, gyms, bars. So all of that died. I went on a hiatus for a while where I didn't paint for 6 months. And I got down about it. I wanted to paint. I didn't get to travel because I travel to a lot of graffiti exhibitions and stuff like that. My two events, the Hurdle Alley Art Festival and Paint versus Paint, were canceled last year. So now it's just starting to get traction again. Places are opening back up.
Any hope for those events this year?
I doubt it. I think this is going to be the year we get right, and then next year
get back to
we'll be right. You know, it's you know, because you're not going to have shows and things like that. Like, you know, this year I see stuff already getting canceled, and so it's kind of like, you know, just go with the flow of whatever it is and
hope it works.
Yeah, hope it works, and then, you know, next year I'd like to get back out, hit you know, the events that I travel to and stuff like that, and really start painting again. But my, you know, clients are coming back. I got a paint job this week for a gym, and you know, but I'm honestly even a little more picky now, just because I took a break and stood back and seen. Yeah. You know, so I was real busy for a year or two.
So I saw you working hard, man.
Yeah, I was working real hard. So I'm, you know, now I'm a little bit more selective, and you know, and also sharing the wealth. I've been given a lot of, you know, jobs come up, say, hey, you know, you want this one? Yeah. You know, and just, you know, keeping it Buffalo.
Well, that's what's up, man. Well, thanks for coming and talking with me today, man. Make sure you guys go check out Vinny. His Instagram is mixspic. We'll have it tagged down below. And make sure you guys tap in with the graffiti culture. The hip-hop culture in Buffalo is really taking off right now. This is ToneyBoi, Outside Influence. Peace.
Take it easy.